Welcome in, everyone. Twin City Sports Talk. It's a beautiful Saturday here in Minnesota. Just kidding. We all know it's not. It's super cold. Everyone hates it, but we got to get past it, We're going to get right to it today. We got a few things to talk about, including a big announcement, which I'll be sharing shortly. But first, we're going to start off with our sponsor for today's video, which is Kitchen-Wise, Closet-Wise, family-owned operated business, proudly serving the Twin Cities and surrounding areas. If you're ready to truly maximize your space, they are the team to know. They specialize in creating custom solutions designed around how you actually live. From kitchens and closets to pantries, garages, and more, they transform underused or cluttered spaces into something both beautiful and highly functional, as you see in these pictures right here. What sets Kitchen-Wise and Closet-Wise apart is their focus on smart layouts, quality materials, and custom designs that make the most of every inch. If you want storage and spaces that work harder for you, Kitchen-Wise, Closet-Wise will make it happen. Call or go to their website to get someone out for a free consultation. Yes, it's a free consultation. Get someone out there and get a price on what a little project would be for you guys. But thank you to Kitchen-Wise, Closet-Wise for sponsoring. And we're going to get to the video here shortly after two announcements. One reminder, we're giving away 2 wild tickets to the February 2nd game against the Montreal Canadiens. Everyone go to the Instagram to figure out how to enter for those. You got to follow a couple of our social medias, and you got to tag a friend. I forget the steps behind that, but everyone make sure you guys go do that. We have a bunch of submissions already, and we're only getting more each day, so you'd have a chance to win it. Doesn't hurt. All right. Now time for this big announcement. We have this is a cool step, a big step. Pretty cool. On Monday, everyone keep your calendars open for Monday at 5:30. All right. Well, that's time we're recording, but so probably around 7 is when it will be uploaded. But on Monday, we are bringing in special guest Braden Stevenson. Braden Stevenson being one of the most interesting prospects, recruits, whatever you want to say, in like Gopher football history. He is the number 1 wide receiver in Missouri, one of the fastest players in this recruiting class. He has agreed to come on the podcast and talk a little PJ Fleck, a little Gophers football, the recruiting process. So it's gonna be really fun. So what I am telling you guys today, I challenge all of you, write a question, because we're going to be giving him a few listener GM questions. Write a question, an opinion, something you want to know about Braden Stevenson. This is a kind of get to know you episode, because he's going to be probably playing as a true freshman for the Gophers this upcoming season, and people got to get to know him. So Braden Stevens, questions about him in the comment sections here. Would love to see some. We're going to give him a few listener GM questions, and then we're also going to be doing a snake draft of the week, which is the roles reversed snake drafts, and this topic is water tubing. So we're going to be doing that with him. But anyway, people, mark it on your calendar. Braden Stevens coming Twin City Sports Talk. All full circle there. Either way, we're excited. It's going to be fun to have him on. So everyone mark your calendar. 7 o'clock Monday. It's going to be fun. All right. But for today, we got a few things to talk about. We have a couple game days today between the Wolves and Wild. But the main thing we're going to talk about here is, I wouldn't say the Vikings trade talks for Joe Burrow have heated up. It's just become a little bit more evident now. And so we're going to be going through the money aspect, and really, what rank do you give the Vikings in the league if they get Joe Burrow? Because here's the thing. They got Brian Flores back for now, and the only team that could really poach Brian Flores is the Steelers. And just like we talked about on TCST yesterday, we really think that Flores will be back as DC, because Mike McCarthy I think will get that Steelers job because the Steelers have just been ravaged. Their offensive has been pretty bad for many, many years now. And ever kind of since Big Ben died, it's kind of been worse and worse and worse. But they could use an offensive minded coach, and Mike McCarthy would be perfect for that role for them. Um, so either way, like talking about Brian Flores, he's gonna be back, hopefully. But you gotta think if the Vikings were to get and okay, I don't want to put this in any other like way. I am a full JJ McCarthy supporter. This trade would be franchise changing for both. And it's very unlikely to happen, like very. And I am full on JJ. I was fighting for him this entire season. Ask anyone that knows me. But we got to talk about it because this is a rumor. So Joe Burrow paired with Brian Flores, Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, and the rest of the gang, and a top 10 offensive line. I legit think that puts you easily as one of the top Super Bowl threats, like easily a top Super Bowl threat. Okay. And then I was on the record yesterday saying that they beat any team in the league. I mean, if the Vikings got Joe Burrow and now have retained Brian Flores, they I think easily beat any team in the league. You give me any team, you give me the Broncos, Patriots, Eagles, Rams, Seahawks. I think the Vikings win 8 out of 10 games against any of those teams. Because here's the thing. Like Joe Burrow, a healthy Joe Burrow is throwing for 404 touchdowns down your throat. And here's the thing. It's Brian Flores, and you don't need to score that much when your defense is being coached by Brian Flores. Like all Joe Burrow needs to do is score 21 points, and you're going to win 80% of the games you're in with Brian Flores on defense. If the Vikings got Joe Burrow, Super Bowl threat undoubtedly right away, but you should be beating teams by 15 points every Sunday. Every single Sunday, because your defense is most likely undoubtedly going to make or hold teams to, I don't know, to around 20 points. It's not hard to score 20 points with Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Kevin O'Connell, probably Jalen Naylor. We can talk about Jordan Addison another time, but we did yesterday. We all have Jordan Addison being out of here. But either way, Jalen Naylor probably your wide receiver too. But the Vikings are also probably going to draft a running back, most likely. So this is an insane opportunity, in my opinion. I would do it. There was a trade yesterday where you send the Bengals JJ McCarthy, Jonathan Grenard, and 2 firsts. Yeah, you lose 2 first-round picks, and that would suck. But like I said, I legit think Joe Burrow would win you a Super Bowl. You'd have him for 2 years under the same contract, right in his prime. I think Burrow's like 29, I think. Either way, though, it would be a heck of a year. It would be pretty insane if I'm being completely honest. So we're gonna chuck this salary cap on calculator on over the cap. We're gonna really calculate what we need to do to get Joe Burrow, because if you can see up here, going into the 2026 season, we are $48 million under the cap. Okay, so we're going to say that we took the trade offer that we went with yesterday, which was JJ McCarthy, Jonathan Grenard, and 2 firsts. So automatically, Jonathan Grenard here would be traded. So that clears 12 million off the books right there. Then you got to go down a little bit to JJ McCarthy. It's not going to be a lot of money because he is a rookie. But it actually like hurts you in the money standpoint a little bit, but you'd have to give them back the quarterback. And again, big JJ McCarthy supporter here. I am a huge JJ McCarthy supporter. We're not going to be doing a full like off-season thing here. We're just going to see exactly who you would need to cut and trade to get to the 37 million. So this is obviously saying in that trade you would give up this year's like first round pick. So number 18. I think what we would probably try doing here is maybe pairing a few players to get a first. Actually, here, let me start with this. Javon Hargrave, you are cut. That's going to save 10 million off the books. All right. I think that one's honestly undoubted. Like going into this season, I think there's no doubt in my mind that Hargrave will be cut. And then I don't know. There's not really a ton of big options because you can trade Jordan Addison and something else to get a first round pick back, but you're not really, you want to keep your core if you want to plan on contending. I do think they trade Addison no matter what, so we'll just say that Addison will be traded there. And then let's just go through the list one by one here. Starting at the top would be Justin Jefferson. He's not going anywhere. Jonathan Allen. I'd say let's restructure Jonathan Allen because he didn't show a lot this year, but base salary, he would go from 16 million to, let's put him at like 13 million. So you save a few million in there anyway. Brian O'Neill, this one's an interesting one though, because you could realistically trade Brian O'Neill. He has one more year on his contract. That would save $19 million here. You could trade him and probably get like a third round pick for a 31-year-old starting right tackle, Pro Bowler, really good player. One other thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to cut TJ Hawkinson. I think it's needed for this offseason. Some people will be mad, but that's all right. So actually, the last move we can do, this would put us even. Aaron Jones cut because we're already probably going to be in the running for running back in the draft. I don't think Aaron Jones is going to be a Viking next year. So this is what you would need to do. Okay. This is by the new league year, which is March 11th. That's the rule. You have to be even or above in like salary cap numbers. So the Vikings have some work to do before that in the next month and a half here. But you have to be even by March 11th, basically. And how we did that, we restructured Jonathan Allen by $3 million to cut $3 million off there, made his contract 16 to 13 million. And then in the Joe Burrow trade, we traded Jonathan Grenard, freeing up $12 million. We cut Javon Hargrave and TJ Hawkinson. That saved about 18 million there. We cut Aaron Jones. That saved about 7-8 million. And then JJ McCarthy was also in that trade for Joe Burrow. And then we also traded Jordan Addison, which took off 2 million. Not much, but it's something. It's something when you're trying to cut money. That money disappears quick. But anyway, that is really what you have to do if you wanted to acquire Burrow. That's kind of the baseline between the Vikings offseason in general, because they need to cut money like no matter what. But this is what they got to do. If they're really going to trade for Joe Burrow, that's what they got to do. And I will say, like, this is all dependent on like them just like going full ride. They are going to go to the Super Bowl. Like, this is, if you get Joe Burrow, you are committing to that idea and that ideology that you will be one of the best teams in the league, maybe the best. Honestly, with Joe Burrow and Brian Flores, I'll die on this hill. You would be the best, and you should be the best. The only concern, I think, is how injury-prone Burrow is. People are complaining about McCarthy, but imagine Bengals fans. Burrow gets hurt basically every year. He's had like 2 healthy seasons, and of course, one of those healthy seasons is when they went to the freaking Super Bowl, lost to the Rams in a really good game. Was very close, but Burrow can take you there. And again, I will die on the hill. They would beat any team that comes across them. Actually, you know what? We are going to go through the opponents for next year for the Vikings. So obviously, like, let me pull this up on my phone because I'm not gonna. I know the divisions, but the extra 3 games, I am gonna end up forgetting. I think either way, home games for the Vikings. Let's go through it. Let's do a little schedule. I don't know, schedule look ahead, maybe we can call that. It's way too early, but we're gonna do it anyway because it's fun. Obviously, 3 division games at home: Bears, Packers, Lions. The Lions have the easiest schedule in the league next year. The Bears, with Ben Johnson, they're legit, and the Packers. Um, I don't know how the Packers are doing money wise, but either way, all the teams are going to be competitive next year. And if the Vikings got Joe Burrow, this would be maybe the best division in football history. Because every team would be playoff worthy, and a couple of them would be Super Bowl worthy, especially with the Lions having the easiest schedule. The Lions this year have what the Patriots had this year, and the Patriots are in the AFC Championship game. So that's all you got to see there. That's all you got to hear there. But out of those 3 games, I think they go. Honestly, would it be wrong of me to say they go 3-0 in those games? I mean, you guys saw what Brian Flores did to the Lions. You guys saw what he did to the Bears this year. The Bears couldn't get anything on offense. It's just JJ McCarthy struggled in those games, and you should have beat the Bears twice. This is a bit of a off the topic here, but people got to remember the Vikings were 1 play away from making the playoffs, and that 1 play was Devin Duvernay's 56-yard return against the Bears at home, week 13 or whatever it was. If Duvernay doesn't have that return, the Vikings win the division if they beat the Packers in the last week. But they would have made the playoffs no matter what. But if they beat the Packers in the last week of the season, they would have won the division. They were 1 play away from a lot of good stuff. So that sucks. It really does. But out of those 3 games, I'll say 2-1. But here, I'm going to go through this a little bit quickly. The rest of the home games, Falcons with Burrow and Flores win. Panthers win. Bills, the Bills defense, we don't know. Actually, no, the Bills are still in their hiring process. The Ravens just hired Jesse Minter. I have a feeling Joe Brady's going to step up and be the head coach, so more of an offensive coach for the Bills. But that defense struggled this year. Bills win in US Bank Stadium. Dolphins win. Commanders win. I don't care if Jaden Daniels is back. Colts win. Realistically, out of the 9 home games you have, you go 8-1. You go 8-1. I mean, this is the thing. The Vikings have an easy schedule. They have the NFC South and then the AFC East, which that's 2 guaranteed wins with the Dolphins and Jets. The Patriots and Bills are tough, yes, but they have 2 guaranteed wins in that division. But going to the road games now, I want to say the Vikings. The Vikings went 4-2 against the division this year. There's no doubt in my mind that they should or they would go 5-1 or 6-0 against the division if Joe Burrow and Brian Flores got teamed up there. But I'll say 2-1. So they go 4-2 against the division again, just because the division is really good. Saints win, Bucks win, Jets win. And then I will say a loss between the Patriots and Niners, which that would make what? So two division losses, because you went 4-2, and then so here we go. 14-3. 14-3 the Vikings should be next year with an easy schedule, easy divisions that you have to play against. No reason the Vikings shouldn't be the number 1 seed in the NFC next year if Joe Burrow was the quarterback. And again, Kwesi, I would do this because here's the thing. You are in this league to win championships. You are supposed to win Super Bowls. This is what these teams are made to do in the NFL. That's the end goal. If you have, and here's the thing, yes, you'd be giving up on the youngest quarterback in the NFL, which again, I love JJ. I have all the faith in him. If he's our quarterback, I'm going to support him, and I think he's going to do great, okay? Because he is the youngest starting quarterback in the league. But this league is built around winning Super Bowls. Look at the Rams. They win a Super Bowl because they go all in and go get Matthew Stafford. And then now they are in the running to win it again. Because here's the thing, Joe Burrow carried one of the worst defenses in the league for like 5 straight years, won to a Super Bowl, and now he keeps winning games. But he also has to put up 40 points a game to win those games because the Bengals defense is just horrible. Here, Joe Burrow, all we ask is 24 points, and you're probably going to win 85% of the games you play. Kwesi, if we want to win a Super Bowl, if we want to win the Vikings their first Super Bowl, you do the trade. And I would even go to the extent of Grenard, McCarthy, and 3 firsts because I'm so confident that the Vikings would win a Super Bowl if Joe Burrow was teamed up with Brian Flores. You have Brian Flores next year. This is your time to go all in. Every piece you have, you push it in, and you go win it because this is your chance. There's undoubtedly, there's going to be a drop off on this defense whenever Brian Flores does seem to leave, whether that's maybe this year still if he gets offered the Steelers job, but probably not. But even if like in the next few years, there's going to be a drop off when you see Brian Flores leave, whether that's an internal guy or an outside hire. There's going to be a drop off. This is your year. If you can go get one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league with Brian Flores, that team is special. I mean, it is special. It would be a league franchise-altering, bone-shattering trade. I'd feel terrible for J.J. McCarthy, but you have to do what you have to do to win Super Bowls. That's the end goal. Go do it. Joe Burrow, come to Minnesota. And here's the thing. The trade's not likely to happen, but Joe Burrow's not happy in Cincinnati. They don't build a team around him. The ownership stinks in Cincinnati. Like their player facilities and everything are like rated like the 29th or close to worst in the league. He'd be stepping into, I think, the second rank like facilities and just everything about how the players like rank each like organization with how they treat families and just like the human stuff behind it. The Vikings rank at the top, so he'd be stepping into just a perfect situation. And guess what? Joe Burrow in a dome. If you had the 1 seed, you'd be playing at US Bank Stadium. He wouldn't have any elements to deal with. He wouldn't have to play at Arrowhead in 10-degree weather. He wouldn't have to go play in Buffalo in the playoffs, in New England. He would be in a dome, slinging the ball everywhere. Joe Burrow takes the Vikings to the Super Bowl because of Brian Flores too. And not to mention, like I this is blowing past my mind too, but just the fact that he has Justin Jefferson and Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell, one of the best offensive minds in the league, as much as people want to trash on him for this year. Who cares? But if he had Joe Burrow, it'll be exactly what we saw from Matthew Stafford. Joe Burrow is a quarterback that can 1,000,000% carry out Kevin's scheme in any way Kevin wants. Justin Jefferson would pretty much undoubtedly probably go over 1,600 yards. Jalen Naylor would probably have 1,000 yards, and a few others would have really good years too. Joe Burrow would most likely probably win MVP, if I'm being completely honest. Like, the defense creates turnovers. It creates opportunities for the offense. It keeps the offense out there. This team would go far. I'm going to wrap it up with saying that. This team would go freakishly far if Joe Burrow was the quarterback paired up with Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell. Either way, we're going to get past that now. We're going to get to our predictions for tonight's games. The Wolves play the Warriors at 4:30. Oh, and if anyone cares about Gophers basketball with a big game today against 19-0 Nebraska. Nebraska is 19-0. Absolutely insane year from the Cornhuskers, but they play at Williams Arena at 11 today. But Wolves Warriors at 4:30. Wolves coming off 2 embarrassing losses, back to kind of just this stuff. The Warriors, obviously, Jimmy Butler goes down with the ACL, and Jonathan Kuminga requested trade. The Warriors dynasty is seemingly shattering, tearing, ripping apart. If it already wasn't kind of ripped apart there. I don't know how, but Steph Curry gets in over the rightful all-star starter, Anthony Edwards. Ant is better in every category except free throw percentage, which, God, Ant needs to work on that. But three-point percentage, Ant's better this year than Curry. So that's saying a lot right there. Either way, Wolves, Warriors should be a good game. I'm going to say the Wolves. The Wolves will win, okay? I'm going to bite my tongue again on this because they just haven't been there recently, just not bringing it in really any aspect. I'm going to say the Wolves win 123 to 116. I think Curry's going to keep them in this game. I'm going to say Ant. Ant's going to show up against Curry. Ant and Curry will have 4+ threes. I think that's fair for both of them to have 4+ threes. Either way, fun game for the Wolves tonight. Let's get back on track there. Wild welcoming the Florida Panthers. The Panthers obviously just got Kachuk back, however many games that was. Obviously the big guys, Sam Bennett, Reinhardt, Marchand, like they have playmakers down there in Florida, and they've just kind of been coasting by with gosh dang, now I'm just forgetting his name. I'm just completely forgetting it. Either way, but they've just been kind of coasting by and haven't been really, they have a winning record. They've just been kind of mid and kind of just in the middle of the pack on a lot of key categories. But now that they have Kachuk back, they're kind of starting to find their rhythm again. He's just such a great player for them and just does a lot of things. But the Wild also, they got Eriksson Ek back last game. Brodeen's obviously out for a while now. I don't have any really other updates. I don't know where Matt Boldy is. There's nothing out on him. Zach Bogosian, we don't know. They did say he will probably return to one of these home games on this 3-game homestand. But again, we don't really know. Either way, the Wild coming in off of a win, overtime winner against Detroit, which was a very fun game to watch. Gustafson was in net for that, so I'm assuming it's going to be Wallstead tonight. And actually, sorry, this is a 4-game homestand we're on, so got to get these points now. Gained another point. We're only 10 points behind the Avs now. So if there's any chance, got to get it in these home games. If you can win these 4 home games and have the Avs maybe lose a game or two, or just go into overtime loss, you could jump up to 6 or 5 points back. So very good opportunity for the Wild right now. But as far as tonight, I'll say this. I'll say the Wild will win. I'm on that Minnesota sports Kool-Aid today. Very, very positive here. The Wild will get their 30th win tonight. Wild win. I think it'll be a more offensive game tonight, but 4-2. Wild win 4-2. And I'll say this. So actually, now that I have it up, Kachuk, this will be his 3rd game. I think Kachuk will have 2 points tonight. How do you spell his name? T-K-A-C-H-U-K. People tell me if I'm right. I think I'm right. Kachuk, 2+ points in their game tonight. So there's my predictions. Standings right now, I'm 49-36 with 18 points. Jack is 21-25 with 11. And Trevor sitting at 500, 21-21 with 7 points. Yeah, there's my predictions. And there's the episode. Perfect episode. Again, Joe Burrow brings the Vikings to a Super Bowl. Push all your chips in. All right. This is the time, Kwesi. This is the time. And again, not a JJ McCarthy hater. I love the kid. But Joe Burrow is many steps above him. And JJ McCarthy will not get to what Joe Burrow is in his career. So, everyone, thanks for watching. Go follow the YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify. Remember, Monday, we're having Braden Stevens on, one of the best wide receivers in the country. And go get your Wild tickets, February 2nd's game against the Canadians. Go register to win that. But for today, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow for the NFC and AFC championship predictions. See ya.